All right. We're live. Hold on. Let me
Ha
sync the
ha!
music. Oh, don't.
Do it!
All right. We're live.
Huzzah! Hey, it happened. We're back. What's up?
Can you
It's
believe it?
Thursday. Welcome. I know. We made it to Thursday, my friends. Welcome back to the Tara Show with Devlin and Dublin and Dublin
Yes.
and Devlin. And it's two Taras telling the truth all the time. And we love
TNT.
alliteration. And we TNT, it's dynamite and all right, although not alt right.
Right. God
about
help
that?
us.
I'm
Yeah,
clever like that. I'm clever like that. All right, so it's Thursday. It's the first day of spring, which is
Is
why
it?
I wore
Oh,
my
wow.
one
That's awesome.
floral shirt.
We made
I
it.
wore florals just in hope springs eternal, as they say.
Right.
And in the midst of the garbage fire, we carry a responsibility to also deliver some hope to the masses if we can. So I hope everybody in the chat is doing well. Thanks to Jim for being our moderator
thank you, Jim.
extraordinaire.
Awesome.
I noticed that the kid who likes to spell out the N-word tried to sneak back in
Oh,
last
did he?
time.
Oh, jeez. Again?
Yeah, right towards the end.
one trick
Right
pony.
towards the end.
Yeah. I mean,
Just
what's
come
that
on,
about?
can you come up with some new material?
What is
I
that
don't
about?
know. It's just
so bizarre.
Some people do not evolve beyond 7
It's
years
crazy.
old. It's just
Yeah.
a fact, and it's
You know
sad
it.
but true.
And you know he's an old man
I know,
too.
and-
He's a Gen Xer like
It's
we are.
sad.
All right, you know that, or
And
maybe
he
even a
hasn't seen
boomer.
his own weenie in a very long time. And
Right, he's jealous. He
he's
lives his
mad
life
because
he's
he always
yeah, he's in the closet. He could be a self-loathing
Or-
gay or trans person, and
could be.
I think
Could
so.
be,
That's
or
why.
he's just, or full-on incel, very upset about
True.
always having to
Very
inflate his
true.
girlfriend, which is
True.
neither of our fault. It's not our fault.
Right.
You don't know the touch of a human
That's so
woman that
true.
didn't come in a box. Just whatever.
Yes.
It's fine. We all understand the MAGA tactics, and they're all just so still mad because they're not getting what they were promised. They're not getting what they voted for.
What are they?
They're
Which
pretending
is
that,
what? I mean, they get the hate.
you know,
that's for
still,
sure.
I mean, they're getting to watch society being dismantled.
Yeah. They get to
Congrats.
watch,
I don't
our enemies dance with glee. I mean, when your enemies are
That's fun.
giddy as kids on Christmas morning and your allies
Truth.
are appalled, you might want to reassess what side you're on, I mean, when the America-hating
It's a-
dictators are happy, you're doing it incorrectly. For sure.
Right, and it's a harsh realm for Democrats at the moment because we're hearing individual voices emerging, speaking the truth that we're all speaking. The problem, it's not a collective, it's not a cohesive, it's not a unifying message that we're getting, and it's not being amplified
Right.
or elevated because we don't have a Democratic press secretary.
Yes.
So we're
And
going
we
to keep
should.
pushing for that, and oh my goodness, let's just, especially as
You gotta.
every day they're doing what they can to silence us and
Yeah.
keep us separated. For anybody who remains on Twitter, delicate, fragile, ketamine-cooked Elon Musk, who claims to love free speech.
Right. He's
has
a free
suspended
speech
Rick Wilson.
absolutist, right? I'm sorry to
Right,
step on
sure.
you there. We have a
As
little
long
bit of
as
a
it's
delay,
as
so
long as
it's
it's-
hard. Sorry
We
about
do.
that, guys.
We have
Yeah.
to figure that out.
I know. I'm very sorry
But,
about it. Go ahead.
He only cares about free speech when he's speeching it and nobody else. So he suspended Lincoln Project's Rick Wilson for what he claims is just 30 days. But I mean,
For
I
what?
don't believe anything he says. So, so if I'm understanding it correctly, there's a lot of bad press around Tesla right now because their cars keep exploding.
Yes.
All of the Cybertrucks have been recalled. Every single Cybertruck has
they're
been
ugly as
recalled
shit.
because, aside from being ugly as shit and just ridiculous.
So it wasn't an aesthetic recall, right? It was just because
there's like something on the side of it that can fly off and become a projectile and
that's
kill
wonderful.
people. So a projectile is bad. And
Right.
so between his rockets exploding and his Nazi tanks uh, killing people, and then his self-driving cars
Right.
driving into lakes and killing people and tanking
Right.
the stock, I'm still wondering, why does anybody think Tesla's a good investment?
I don't
Because it
know.
isn't,
Yeah.
and I don't know either. And what we're and so Rick got suspended because some people who are there's been a lot of protests against Tesla, which are great, and people are protesting outside showrooms, and people are returning their
Yes.
Teslas at a loss to the
And they should.
company, which is delightful, which is great. Now, here and there have been lone agitators acting as, going beyond what I find to be acceptable resistance protest, and they have entered into the realm of vandalism. I do not support
Right.
vandalism. I think when you decide to take vandalism as your approach, people just look at the
Yeah.
broken glass and they don't remember why you broke the glass.
That's the
So,
thing. That's the.
I mean, maybe
that's how.
in Tesla's case, maybe you do.
But remember during the Black Lives Matter protests, over 90% of which were peaceful, but there were some agent provocateurs in there. And that's what the Republicans do. The Proud Boys, it was exposed. One of them got arrested because he shot a gun into a police station yelling, "Justice for George Floyd." And then there's that umbrella guy who they go in there because they start instigating violence to turn the average American against the protests. And that's what the Republicans were really afraid of, because the Black Lives Matter movement wasn't just black or people with darker pigment. It was everybody. And it was peaceful,
Right.
and it was gaining traction. So they had to defile it like that. But so,
Correct.
they're always talking about false flags and things like that. I hate to say it, but liberals don't do things like that, false flags or because we're too busy trying to ensure
No.
that no one dies without health care, really. I mean, and working,
Crazy, aren't we?
right?
We're just crazy. Well, that's our TDS, isn't it? Our TDS is wanting to keep everybody alive. Oh, my
Right.
goodness. So, friends, if you were with us on Tuesday, Devlin shared the hilarious story that a bunch of Republicans in Minnesota wanted to make Trump derangement syndrome like an official mental illness.
Yes.
Like it's a real mental disorder that can be diagnosed. Tell the kids what happened a mere 24 hours later. Look at that.
Yes.
I mean,
this is the best.
chef's kiss. It's not a drag queen.
Nope.
Same
not
guy.
a trans
Same guy
person, not a
with the-
gay.
Nope.
Trump
Not
derangement
pigmented,
syndrome.
Melanated.
Nope.
Exactly. Look, could this guy be any whiter?
Right.
Look at that
it's
guy.
true. He's
like
almost
the
as
Nazi
white as I
poster
am.
child.
It's very true.
I mean, that's some Hitler Youth. Oh, that's
Right?
like a Hitler Youth Arrested Development
Oh,
style,
my
because
God.
that guy is
Yes.
yet another child
Yes.
molester in the MAGA cult. Soliciting
Right.
sex from a minor is a crime.
Right.
And so many of them do it, and none of them have to pay for it, Matt Gaetz. It's
Right.
fine.
I'm wondering,
So, oh
was it
my
a boy
goodness.
or girl? I'm just curious here. Let's see.
Does the article indicate?
Let me
What does
see.
it say?
Minnesota State Senator Justin Ihorn, however, Republican, of
Eichhorn.
course. Eichhorn had a very busy
I guess
Monday.
so.
He was one of the 5 Republican co-authors to introduce a bill that would add Trump derangement syndrome to the state's statutory definition of mental illness. And according to police, he was also chatted with someone he thought was a 16-year-old girl to make arrangements to meet up for sex.
Oops.
Oh, well.
Oops.
I hope. Too bad it
Oh,
wasn't. Who's the guy? Chris Hansen. Take a seat guy.
He shows up.
That would have been
Are you
brilliant.
state senator Justin Eichhorn? I'm Chris Hansen from Dateline. That'd be glorious.
It would.
That'd be glorious. So again, we have to reiterate that not us. We did not do that. We don't have TDS. All
Right.
of you in the MAGA cult believe that your cult is going to protect you, and it's not going to. And this is just more fodder to use against Nancy Mace. It's like, who literally tweeted about child molesters yesterday. I was like, oh,
Wow.
really? Here you go. Of course, she's
That's
never going to
incredible.
respond, just like
Of
she's not
course.
going to respond to the Andrew Tate questions. And now there's another one to ask. Republicans about, because yesterday Donald Trump welcomed Conor McGregor to the Oval
Yes.
Office, who has a history of wife beating and sexual assault, because they just love to punch women around.
Well,
Have
that's
to
what it
slap
is.
women around. It's
Right.
fine. It's fine. Jesse Waters is a stalker who, Pete Hegseth, thrice married, drunken wife beater. It's all great. That's
Exactly.
fine.
Well, yeah, they
and
do
Nancy
that.
Mace is out there going after transgender women, because that's the problem.
Because she's
The
afraid,
smallest
right?
segment
She's
of the human population is the problem. Give me
Exactly.
a break.
But that's what Republicans do. The only reason they invited him was probably the only Irish person Trump knows, for one thing, or at least knows of.
Is he Scott?
Is he even Irish? Is he Irish? Let me look this up.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not. I'm not
let's
well versed
see.
in the
Yeah.
MMA verse.
Me
Is he
neither.
MMA. I don't know.
But they
Again,
also
if
know
you're-
that owning the libs, and this is what they do. That's why they
That's
invited
not
him,
how-
because
no, it's
yeah.
not a thing.
It's
not a
about
thing.
making women. It's also, because Republicans talk about virtue signaling all the time. They're always like, oh,
Sure.
and they denigrate virtue signaling, this other thing that we're all supposed to be pissed off about. But what virtues do they signal? I mean, virtue signaling is being a decent person. I mean, signaling, that you have some standards, that you are capable of
I know.
functioning in a free democratic
Right.
society. What virtues
Nutty.
are they signaling? They're
don't know.
signaling hate, and abuse.
Insanity.
That's what
And
it is.
They're in love with their hate, and that's really
That's
the
right.
default setting.
Yeah.
And this has been discussed for nearly a decade. I mean, the cult mentality has enabled them and emboldened them to leave the basement and be horrible out in the world, whether or not they march with the Proud Boys or fellow Nazis so bravely with your masks on, or whatever they do. So much of what they do is intimidation, and they let that do
Right.
the heavy lifting for them. And Donald Trump is a great one for that. We mentioned that on Tuesday, when he wants to destroy something, he puts a woman in charge of it so he
Right.
can blame her and scapegoat
Yeah.
her for it. And what does Donald Trump do most of his life? He bullies people on his phone while on the toilet.
Yes.
That's what Donald
He's a
Trump
tiny-
does with his life.
He's just a small person, and that's why I don't understand how, I mean, we can go into
Right.
this, but how anyone looks up to him or thinks he's in any way fit to be a leader. When you send somebody to represent you, you want to send your best, right? Okay, send the best person, the smartest person, the one who has your values, and that's who you send?
Yeah.
A tax cheating,
Yeah, no,
serial
Putin's not
bankrupt
sending his best.
baboon? Right. Exactly. He's not
Yeah, no,
sending his
Putin.
Putin.
The Russians aren't sending us their best.
No,
They're sending
not at all.
rapists. They're sending criminals. They're sending
Yes.
drug addicts.
Some are nice people,
Every
I guess,
accusation
but
is a confession.
Exactly.
They're very
Exactly.
fine people on both sides. So, and again, in the every accusation is a confession thing. When those guys were marching in Charlottesville, chanting
Right.
"Jews will not replace us,"
Jews.
what they're trying to do. What they're trying to do, among the many things they're trying to do in the Project 2025 forced birth cult,
Right.
is eradicate anybody who pushes back against them in any way they can. So
Right.
if they can't kill us with COVID, they'll try to kill us with measles and bird flu.
Well, they're killing
if
themselves.
they can't do that,
so, yeah.
and that's just not the super rich ones.
Right.
The super rich ones will remain insulated and safe. But it's a question, it's a question worth asking when you see someone like Lee Zeldin, aka Zippy Zeldin, who's been put in charge of the EPA.
Oh God.
And they want to roll back protections that the EPA oversees across
Yes,
the country.
I know.
The question becomes, why don't you want Americans to have clean air and water, considering a lot of those Americans
Right.
voted for your guy?
But they,
Right?
you know how Trump goes on. I want the cleanest air, the cleanest, most pristine water. Even if he says pristine,
Yeah.
I have no idea. I want
Where?
my air
Where do you
clean
want
and
it?
best. It's like all bullshit. And like Rachel
then
Maddow
stop
always
polluting
says,
it.
yes, Rachel Maddow always says, just don't listen to what they say, because
Right.
they do the exact opposite of what they say. They want the cleanest,
Correct.
best air. How? How? Because they're rolling back all kinds of regulations and standards. They want corporations to use our public commons, the air we breathe, as a toilet for their poisonous waste. If they can make a buck, it's easier for just throw your garbage in some, don't worry about it. Just throw it out the window, whatever. Don't have any community spirit. You're not in this together. You're in, and that's what I can't stand about them too. Is that I really hate the way that they have basically torn us all apart in the name of greed. And that's what it's about. If you can make a buck, there's no, and that's another thing I was thinking about because, the country, this is the only country founded on an idea, okay, not on heritage, so to speak, right? Because regardless of whether Republicans hate it, we are a nation of immigrants. That's just, unless you're a Native American. But the fact that they have and what are in our founding documents, it's kind of usurps the property. Whether you're, all men, and at the time, of course, they meant all men are created equal. But that was like a very radical notion because at the time, there was the Western civilization was ruled by monarchies and intergenerational aristocracies and hierarchies that were born into wealth. So to say all men are created equal and, we're promoting the general welfare and all that, that is what the Republicans are. Again, they're turning on its head once again. It's all that matters is money now. All that matters is if you can come up with a scam to put people in their place, and people are nothing to them. That's why everyone's pissed off at Tesla and whatnot. Not only because he's a Nazi and he's a disgusting parasite, but the fact that they glibly dance around with chainsaws while they're cutting people's lifelines. And not just that, they're destroying the country. They're destroying the grand experiment. It's goddamn offensive. And, and that's what someone on the chat said, it's going to be a very hot summer. For literally and figuratively, it's true. As the weather gets better, these protests are going to erupt. And I wanted to ask you a question, actually, because this is something that's been on my mind, too. Yeah, we're going to see, I just want to get your opinion on because I would, like with Chuck Schumer and just bowing and bending and rolling over. And he's been doing a lot of media saying that, he had to do it because the alternative is too worse and they would never open the government. But the fact is, okay, this is what pisses me off. And I wonder, maybe I'm just being cold and callous because I'm like, give these and because I know good people are hurt too, right? Good. That's what sucks about living in this timeline. But, these effing Republicans, they're always like, government sucks. I hate government. Drown it, kick it in the balls, Give them what they want. I don't know. These red states are the taker states. My blue state dollars keep them afloat, right? But how else will these people wake up? Because they always hate government until it's ripped out from under them. So for Chuck Schumer to say, it would be such a worse alternative, well, maybe people need to see what it feels like when government's gone. I don't know. I know that's like a stark, whatever hypothesis, but because that's what I'm saying to myself. Like, how else? This is part with the Democrats annoy me because they don't get the message out. They don't take credit for where it is deserved. They don't. The Democrats clean up Republican messes. As we know, Republicans they crash the economy. Democrats come in and clean it up. But they never get the credit for it. And the Republicans are still get the credit for, I don't know how anybody can think that Trump is a great businessman or good at the economy. Especially the last time he left with the worst jobs record since Herbert Hoover. But do you understand what I'm saying, what I'm asking? Would it be, as far as, there is no government shutdown now, but what if there was?
You're asking
don't they
if
deserve
it would be better for...
Well, I'm asking if, how are these people going to wake up
issue,
otherwise?
Well,
Yeah. Go ahead. I know.
I mean, I think that they are, some of them are slowly waking up, and we did touch on this on Tuesday, in that they're seeing it reflected when they go grocery shopping, and they're
Yes.
seeing it when they have to go get gas, and they're seeing it, in other ways, and with the Dow going insane and stocks tanking, like Tesla stock tanking,
exactly.
and all
God.
of these things.
All stocks are tanking. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Right. And so it all goes back to our inherent frustration at the corporate media focusing on the ridiculousness of the clown show because it got ratings, instead of focusing on the competency of the Biden-Harris administration. Like, I'm sorry it's not sexy to say the CHIPS Act passed.
Yeah.
But if people took the time to explain what the CHIPS Act actually did, what the Inflation Reduction Act did, how it helped the economy, how it reduced inflation, because that's what it was supposed to do.
Yep.
If the media spent any amount of time lifting Joe Biden that they gave to Donald Trump being a buffoon, we would be having a very different conversation right now, because Joe Biden probably would have stayed in the race and been reelected in a landslide.
Right.
Because he is the most successful president since Hoover.
Yeah.
He is the most successful president in decades and decades and decades. And aside from lifting up the global economies, he brought us out of a pandemic depression.
I know. Yeah.
That was a historic
exactly.
move.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
no one gives him props. And it's going to be the same thing with Jimmy Carter, where people, he was given an impossible situation. He did his absolute best in an impossible situation. He won't get the props he deserves until history looks back and reflects on how lucky we were to have them.
Right.
So,
but you don't understand what I'm asking, though? Like, how are they gonna? They're
asking if it would be. How are they going to learn?
Yes.
Unless they suffer.
Unless they
what
suffer.
You're asking.
Yes.
Right, but we have to suffer too, which is the frustrating
that's
part,
the
which
problem.
Is why,
yeah.
So before the election, I was like, why don't we try an experiment? Let Donald Trump lead the red states from Mar-a-Lago, and let Kamala Harris lead the blue states from the White House, and see where everybody is in a year. Seriously. And let them implement all of their shitty stuff, because he wants to have all the states to have power, right? So let all your red states do what you're trying to do with the Department of Education and healthcare and take away, but let the blue states still have education and healthcare.
Well, that's what's going to happen, though.
And let's
yes, you understand.
Well, that's what happened last time. So that's what happens. And once, so if we didn't also have to suffer, I would say, sure, shut it all down. Let them learn what it's like to not have your mail come for 2 weeks.
Right. And that's what they're doing.
Let them learn what it's like to not get their checks in the mail or their whatever it is that they rely on.
Or their health care, their health clinic.
You have to drive on, their health care, their public roads. If you live in a state where there are toll roads, which is, by the way, a scam that they're trying, if there was a data breach and people are getting texts saying you have an outstanding toll road payment. No, you don't.
Oh, wow.
No, you don't. That's not a thing. But anyway, if you enjoy having roads that aren't full of potholes, and if you enjoy trains staying on their tracks, and you enjoy planes not falling out of the sky, then you need to support your government. If you enjoy, clean air and clean water and an ambulance showing up when you need one,
and not having to drive hours,
and you need to support your government.
Exactly.
Correct.
But they don't get it.
If you enjoy your mail arriving, no, of course they don't get it, because all they do is listen to a liar.
That's
who
it.
Is not a successful businessman.
Exactly.
So in theory, sure, it would probably be a more immediate lesson for them to learn. But we would also be suffering.
We would all
it,
suffer.
And it would also be. And then we wouldn't be able to have our special election if they shut down the government. So that's another thing. Like, we wouldn't be able to have the special election that's coming up in a few weeks that could flip the House blue, which is another reason why Republicans might have been pushing for a shutdown. Because then it would stop the process and would stop Democrats from making any progress at all.
Right.
So, like, when I was talking to Hal on Monday,
still not convinced.
Made those points are valid. It's still
you're frozen. You're frozen, girl.
Damned if we do.
Oh, there you go.
If
You're
we
back.
Don't. Oh, fuck.
You're fine. It went back. It went back.
My friends, we have a webcam on the way.
It's coming.
We have a webcam.
And the friggin'
it's in the mail. It's coming
microphone.
by next week. Everything should be beautiful and pristine and lovely.
It's going to be great.
But it is very possible. It's awesome. But anyway, it's very possible that one of the reasons Republicans were pushing for a full shutdown is that Democrats wouldn't be able to get anything done.
But okay, let me play the devil's advocate here, or the Devlin's advocate.
On the other hand,
wait, hold on. Just thinking,
the Devlin's advocate.
The Devlin's
we should have
advocate.
a whole segment called Devlin's advocate.
Right, that's true. When I was a kid, they my friends used to sing "Running with the Devlin." That should be my theme song. But anyway,
love it.
Love it. So let's see. The other thing that I was thinking was, of course, Chuck Schumer. I mean, this is all not speculation. This is all just dreaming because the government didn't shut down this time. But I also thought that it would actually kind of speed up the process because that people are pissed as it is. Even in the red states, we're seeing all these Republican, if they dare have town halls, which they've been told not to have, they're being met by their constituents and they're pissed off, chanting tax the rich and all that. Exactly. So
yep.
I think about, one of the most frustrating things is, and we've talked about it on my show a million times, about how people are going for government grants in these red states, and they don't realize, thanks, Joe Biden. That's from the Infrastructure Act. That's from the Inflation Reduction Act. And the one guy had a friggin' banner outside his house, F Joe Biden and F you for voting for him, while in the process of trying to get a government grant thanks to Joe Biden and going, gee, I hope I could still get it now. Blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? It's like the cognitive dissonance meets the Dunning-Kruger effect. But how else? And then because like these reporters go in and they talk to them and they say, well, don't you realize, blah, blah, blah. And they still can't let go of the manias. Like this guy I just read about whose wife got deported by ICE. And he still says that he supports Trump and that it's great because we got a big problem. And you know what I mean? Like, they just can't let go of the cult.
Maybe he wanted a divorce and he couldn't afford one. Jesus.
Maybe. Right. So it's just, as I notice, that the Republicans, the leopards are coming for their faces, but they're still incapable of disconnecting completely. They still cannot, see the light.
It's going to be the individual finding out, and rather than the entire base turning at once, it's going to be like dominoes.
True.
And it's like there's a tweet that went viral from this, like, it was like MAGA Lady 73 or something, and I think she disabled her account afterwards because she was like, well, I voted for Trump because I thought it would be funny, and now I can't afford. Now he's taking away my Medicaid.
Oh, you dumb bitch.
Because owning the libs. It's hilarious, and now he's taking away my Medicaid, and what can we do? And everyone's like, well, it's not like we haven't been screaming at you, you dumb bitch. It's just, it's so frustrating.
Right.
And this is something that I've said on our show. I've said it on Hal's show. I pretty much said it every chance I've gotten to be public facing like this. And I'll say it forever. I don't want anybody to die.
Right.
I don't want anyone to die because of Donald Trump. I don't want anyone to die whether they voted for him or not. I don't want anyone to lose their life or lose someone they love because of being in this cult. And it's so dangerous. Yeah. It's so dangerous. And then so many of them are afraid to say they were wrong. There is something wrong with saying you were wrong. I just said, if I say I'm wrong about something, in my personal experience, I've never been struck by lightning. I'm still here. I've made a million mistakes in I probably made a million mistakes yesterday.
Part of being alive.
I'm still here. It's okay.
Exactly.
It's also your responsibility as an American citizen to hold your government accountable when they're not doing the things that you elected them to do. And by the way, a prevailing message should be out there saying, your government is not supposed to try to kill you. Your government is not supposed to take from you.
Yeah.
That's really important to say to people. Your government isn't supposed to make your life worse. Your government isn't supposed to take anything from you. Democrats are not showing up at your door to take away your health care. We're not showing up at your door to influence you to be a drag queen or turn your children transgender.
Oh, I know.
We just want you to live your life. Democrats deliver for Americans from moment of conception until you're put in the ground. That is your lifespan. We're not trying to take away your Social Security. We want you to have that.
Yeah, we want to expand it, actually.
Scheme.
Yep.
That's your money that you paid into your whole life so that it's waiting for you at the end of your working life so you can retire and not have to work until you're 95. Okay? That's the point of Social Security. It has been around forever for a reason.
Yeah.
And nobody has ever called it a Ponzi scheme until you got these two walking Ponzi schemes.
Well, they've been trying to defund it and privatize it since FDR signed the bill.
And keep your filthy millionaire hands off of our money.
Oh, I know.
You don't need our money. You're set.
Republicans
are set for life, and that's another thing that's frustrating because they can say what they want about, we want to outlaw abortion. If Ted Cruz's daughter got knocked up, she'd get an abortion like that.
That's it.
They want, and they'll make sure their kids get the best education money can buy, and they'll get everything that they can get while Donald Trump is trying to dismantle the Department of Education by putting the wrestling woman in charge of it. And by the way, he's not going to be able to dismantle the Department of Education without an act of Congress.
Right.
It takes an act of Congress to do that, and he's not going to get that.
Of course
again,
not.
this is part of the fear tactic, and we did talk about this on Tuesday, the throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks to sow chaos and keep us churned up, and it's the ignore what they say, watch what they do. So while we're worried about that, and while there's going to be an ethics investigation into the Tesla commercial they did in front of the White House the other day,
who's going to investigate?
Warren.
I mean,
Elizabeth Warren.
She's doing it? Okay, good.
Yes, she is. She's the one that tweeted about it today.
Oh, good.
And she would be a great Senate minority leader because she understands the Fed and she scares the shit out of Trump. And she does because Donald Trump gave her a terrible nickname. If Donald Trump gives you a terrible nickname, it means you're a threat.
Yep.
So there are things that can be set in motion that matter, and that's why, you can push back against the things that we know to be wrong, and we can tell the truth. A lot of what they do is try to use fear and flooding the market with all of this terrible stuff so that you don't know what to look at first.
Yes,
and
that's
it's important,
right.
and that's, again, why we need a Democratic press secretary like Pete Buttigieg or Jessica Tarlov to be standing up every single day and say, this is what really happened. This is why a tariff is bad, Caroline, because Caroline said at her last press briefing that there's going to be big tariffs. There's big tariffs coming because she doesn't understand how they work.
Yeah, they're all just, it's so painful.
They're all so ignorant. And so it's embarrassing. It's about letting people know how it individually will impact them. And warning them does nothing because we have tried. I tried with my own stepfather.
Right.
I was like, look, they're coming for your Social Security, old man. And you don't get to vote away my mother's Social Security. You can vote away your own. That's on you. But no, don't you do that to my mother. He's like, they're not going to do that. I was like, fuck, then here we are. And here we are. And so don't tell me we're not seeing and hearing what we're seeing and hearing. You're not going to gaslight me. And the gaslight has never actually been fully lit over there because I have never bought anything that they push. So that's why we are here. That's why all of the Political Voices Network people are here. It's to continue to try to get the truth out until someone at the DNC finally sees our messages that say, hey, what if we had a Democratic press secretary who went out there every day to tell people what's going on?
Well, that's the thing,
That would be a great idea.
Exactly. Like with Gavin Newsom, people are upset that he's hosting these
me slump down in my seat.
These right-wingers on his podcast, but because
he had Tim Walz the other day. Well,
that's good,
but
we don't need Charlie Kirk or Steve Bannon. Certainly, they have their own platforms, and this is the problem with the Democrats because when I was listening about this, the story that people are upset about Gavin Newsom hosting, Charlie Kirk and all that. He should host people like us. I mean, the small podcasters, the little, you know what I mean?
Yes, he should.
And amplify these voices, because everything begins with the message. And we're out here screaming at as loud as we can. But you see what the right-wingers do. And I know I talk about it a lot, but it's the fact that billionaires support the right-wingers. They gave Breitbart $6 million when he started his rag. They bought a townhouse in Washington, D.C. for him, staffed it with the staff, and that's how Breitbart became a thing. You know, because profit is not in the business model. Exactly. But they understand they need the message. Yep.
Right, and that's
Dems
why
don't
they
seem to
bag
do it.
on us, and they say George Soros is funding us.
I wish.
No, he's not.
I know.
That'd be great. I'm still
ridiculous.
I've been waiting 10 years for a check from George Soros. Let's step it up, Cappy.
Really?
So, again, I don't even know how many times I've reiterated this in my adult life, but the Jews do not own everything. If we ran the media and the banks, no offense, my friend, but I would not be sitting here having a podcast on my phone. This book would already be
holy shit, that's so
a
true.
Series. I would have a regular publishing deal. The sequel would be out. Cameron Crowe and I would already be making the series. It would already be a thing. Everyone would be obsessed with this, because I would be flooding everybody with my rock and roll love story, which you can buy right now at TaraDublinRocks.com. So anyway, but we don't. Nobody is paying me. I mean, it's our job. We have a job, right? But before I had this job, before anybody ever hired me to be a political writer, nobody had to pay me to go stand and protest. Nobody had to go pay me to vote for Democrats. Nobody had to pay me to do the right thing and be a good person. Democrats are the good guys. Republicans are the bad guys. Democrats do not take from you. They give. Republicans remove. Democrats deliver. If there's any prevailing message, it should be that.
Yes.
We always give you what it is you need. We're always looking out for the little man, right?
But that's a nanny state. That's nanny. You don't need nanny.
No, it is.
You need daddy.
No,
a big
that's
daddy
America.
To beat your ass.
That's America.
Right. I know, but this is their argument,
right?
I
That's
heard
their argument. I don't need a daddy. No. If you have daddy issues, you don't take it out on me.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, they have daddy issues.
Are my own. I don't take them out on anybody else.
I go to therapy for my daddy issues.
Actually, I think I take my daddy issues out on Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a relationship with my father, and I haven't spoken to him in 22 years. And for reasons that we don't need to go into, but one of the things in my way of shorthand explaining who my father was when I was growing up, imagine if Donald Trump was a truck driver in New Jersey in the 70s and 80s.
Oh.
Same narcissism, same chip on your shoulder, like I didn't do anything wrong, the world did it, it's everybody else's fault but mine. My parents didn't love me, so it's a whole grudge fuck against the whole world. And so when you grow, and I grew up being bullied by my own father, and so there are behaviors in Trump and the way he talks, because he's a New Yorker and my father's a New Yorker. The cadence is similar. The bullying is similar. The cruelty, the meanness, the way he enjoys being mean. You can always tell when a bully knows that he's got somebody, that he's hurting someone, and he enjoys it. Donald Trump enjoys hurting people. That's a hugely fucked up thing. It's part of his predatory nature. It's part of being a rapist. It's part of being a pedophile. It's part of being this controlling bully. That's how he got Lindsey Graham. That's how he got Jim Jordan. That's how he got Ted Cruz.
Yes.
Marco Rubio.
Yeah.
His
don't
one
they have
talent.
Any respect for themselves? That's
No,
the other thing.
They
Jeez.
don't. They don't. And his one talent, the one thing that he really learned from Putin, is learning how to spot a weakness and exploit it.
Right.
That's exactly what Donald Trump has done. He found the weakness in every single person, figured out how to blackmail them over their weakness, figured out what it was. It may have taken him a little while. You may recall he invited Lindsey Graham to go play golf when Lindsey Graham was still being an outspoken critic.
I remember.
And Lindsey Graham came back and he was like, hey, you guys, he's really not that bad. You guys, seriously,
I remember.
you guys, he's fine.
And didn't he praise his
like,
golf game? He was like, oh, and he hit
He
this
sure
amazing
did.
goddamn ball or whatever.
And
it was like a
sure
hole in
did.
one. It was like going golfing
Sure
with Kim
did.
Jong-un, you know, who
Wow.
apparently when Kim
Wow.
Jong-un went golfing, they all came back and said he hit 10 holes in one or something like that. Like, for real.
Weird.
That was like
It's
Lindsay.
So weird,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And
He's just amazing.
If you search on YouTube, there is a video from 2016 called "They Knew."
Right.
It's all of his detractors speaking out against him. Everybody who ran against him originally in 2016.
Wow.
He'll kill us all. He'll do this.
Yep.
He'll do that. And then switching. And then, so what changed all of you?
Yeah, what did
all
change?
Of them.
It's just so.
Oh,
don't
I
they
don't
have
know,
any
Vladimir
self-respect? Right? Maybe that's what
No.
it is. You know, because like this. The other
You know-
thing is, you know, with the Republicans, they don't like democracy. I mean, they've been saying, you know, kill government for years. But what they mean
Right.
is democracy. They like government just fine. They want an authoritarian government. They want the daddy state, right? Because even
is
that
stupid.
they're very sick and they got a lot of issues, and I wish they would get help instead of inflicting their manias on us. But their whole daddy's home bullshit, and he's pissed, you know. That in itself is a very disempowering message. Of course, you know, what is daddy? He does it for you, right? You're too infantile to take care
Right.
of yourself, so you need daddy. But that's not how a democracy is supposed to run. You know, we're supposed to adult. We're supposed to grow up and have the maturity to function in a free democratic society where we work together
Correct.
with people who aren't maybe like us or different beliefs or different whatever, and to have a functioning civilization. But even their own memes speak to the fact that they really are the enemies of democracy. I hate to say it. They really
truly
are.
are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because you don't have to go back that far to see that Republicans were at least capable of somewhat respectable political discourse. It used to be a thing.
Right.
It was real. There is evidence of it if you go back far enough. If you pull up news stories from pre-2015, even in 2015,
Mm-hmm.
before Donald Trump declared he was running for office. And there's a great example of it if anybody watches the documentary on Nancy Pelosi that her daughter Alexandra did. It's called Pelosi in the House. It's on HBO, and it's her whole political career, and you learn plenty of things about her. And there's a lot of January 6th on it because Alexandra was there
Right.
that day, and it was just, you know, there's a lot of watching Nancy Pelosi be really strong and never broke. She never cried. She's a tough cookie and
Yeah.
all of that. And like the moment where she was like opening a Slim Jim with her teeth and talking to Mike Pence on the phone, all of that is there.
Yeah.
But there's all of this stuff that people have forgotten because of the way the news cycle changed so rapidly. And it's when Nancy Pelosi first was Speaker of the House in the mid-2000s, and she was the first woman Speaker of the House, and they had a ceremony for her, like her swearing-in ceremony. And John Boehner, who was the previous Speaker of the House, is sort of passing the torch to her in a speech. And he's crying. He
was a big crier.
Because his daughters are there.
Yeah.
His daughters are there to witness this amazing moment in history.
Right.
Our first female Speaker of the House. And they have all of this respect for Pelosi. They give her a standing ovation.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
Could you imagine them
see.
doing that now?
And
Never. No way.
They didn't. They didn't
No.
when she got back in the space. Because by that time, when she was back, they'd lived through Obama, and enough of their racism that had been boiling under the surface had bubbled over into the public space, and everybody saw it and knew about it. And the only thing they could go after him for was a tan suit. Or mustard on his hamburger, or stupid manufactured things. And Moscow Mitch saying that all they were going to do is obstruct him. And so if you don't learn from these historic patterns, you're going to repeat them. But what I am saying is there will come a time when there's not going to be MAGA people in Congress anymore. We will return to this because of the cycle. It goes like this. This cycle has been excruciatingly long. We have been held under this for almost a decade. and
I
it's
know.
worn us all down.
It really has.
But it is also we have all become created. We all become addicted to the manufactured rage cycle, and so it's on us to break that cycle in some way if we can. And the way we do that is with the truth. It's like, I know you're scared, but the truth is this. I know you're scared about Donald Trump dismantling the Department of Education, but the truth is he can't do it without an act of Congress. There's some truth. Right. I know you're scared about this, that, and the other thing, but the truth is the courts are pushing back, and now Elon Musk can't get away with doing what he's doing in Doge.
Well, but he's just ignoring the courts, though. That's the problem.
Right. So if you're going to do that, send the guy a subpoena. He's not an elected official. You can have
really
him arrested.
Gross.
You can subpoena him. It is. But this is how we move forward, is continuing to push the truth that is the truth. No matter how much they are trying to bury it, like the special election. I do not see any Republicans talking about the special election.
Oh, no, right.
Because they don't want us talking about the special election.
They want people not to vote. That's it. Yeah.
Which is why we need to be pushing it as loudly as possible. A Democratic press secretary like Pete Buttigieg would be out there every day going, hey, we've got 2 seats in Florida and a seat in New York that we can flip.
And that's what they should be doing, you know. It's in a parliamentary system, I'm sure you know, they run shadow governments, and that's what the Democrats should be doing. So they should have their own shadow cabinet, their own shadow press secretary, the shadow president, the shadow vice president, to give the American people a view of what would be happening if the Democrats were in charge. And I don't know why they don't do it. Exactly.
Well, and here's something also to remind everybody. We get our House majority back, as razor thin as it might be. That would allow Rep. Al Green to move forward with his articles of impeachment, and then we could have a proper third impeachment, which would then be great. And then we had 10 Republicans vote with Democrats last time.
Oh yeah.
To remove Trump. We don't need 10 this time because the Senate majority is so thin. So that is something that could happen.
It'll happen.
If
It'll happen.
Democrats were but we can't do it until we get a House majority.
Exactly.
So, or we get enough Republicans with Democrats to bring in articles of impeachment. House Republicans aren't going to do that.
But we also need the Senate majority to make it stick. But the House has to introduce it.
There would be, I think, more support in the Senate than the House, because I think there are more MAGA people because just by sheer volume, there are more MAGA people in the House than the Senate.
Right.
And so, but getting back our majority means removing Mike Johnson as Speaker.
Oh, God.
And putting a Democrat in the role. And probably Hakeem Jeffries. And so that's something. It's little increments, and we say this a lot too. It's the small acts of resistance that are going to add up. The protests that the media isn't covering, we keep having them. There's another one coming up on April 5th.
Yeah.
Take to the streets, contact your representatives, contact your senators, make sure you're reaching out to Republicans too, and impressing upon them that everything that you think you're taking away from your own constituents as well. You're taking it away from MAGA voters.
Yeah, but they
don't care because they don't think there's going to be another election.
And you're right. But they also, in fact, that's what Steve Bannon is already proposing and they have already said these things anyway about, never having another election. And Trump has said the same thing, but they know that they have the propaganda. That's why they don't care.
Right.
They don't care because their constituents continuously vote against their own demise. Vote for their own demise.
Right.
And what do they get for it? And this is the era of let them eat hate, basically. Not
right.
That's it. That's all they get is hate.
What they get is to go on Twitter and be like, well, Trump won.
Right.
Not really.
Nope.
Not really. And he doesn't have a mandate.
He does in the least. Exactly.
Still plenty of reasons to conduct a forensic audit of the 2024 election. There are still plenty of reasons for that to happen, which could be just incorporated into a third impeachment, by the way, because
That would be good.
Cheating, to steal an election is all part of it too. So, like, again, we're here to let you know that you don't just whine, offer solutions, right? And so the solutions are ones that we'll just keep saying, which is amplify Democratic messaging, amplify the Democrats who are visible, vocal. Jasmine Crockett, Melanie Stansbury, Robert Garcia, they're standing up, they're speaking out. Also, like going back to the Gavin Newsom thing, I understand the tactics by getting his first 3 episodes were 3 really terrible MAGA influencers, but that got Gavin Newsom clickbait, that got him attention, that got people talking about his podcast. I think that was maybe some clever marketing. I don't know that he'll keep doing that, because the questions he was asking of them was, you guys managed to blast your message so much louder than us. How do you do that? He's like trying to steal their ideas a little bit to maybe help boost our messaging. If that's what he's doing, fine. Because then he had Tim Waltz on, and they had a real conversation.
All right.
And so
I
agree
do it
with
because
you.
They have billionaires. I mean, that's really it. Fox News.
And so if we go to our leadership and we're saying we don't have this, but we can have Pete Buttigieg out there for free every day, free. Because if you post him outside the press room, if he can be allowed into the White House, if not, you do it at the Capitol. But the same hand-selected media that's in the press room with Caroline is also invited to that press briefing, and they're gonna go. Newsmax will go, OAN will go, Puffy-eyed Brian Glenn will go, because they think that they're gonna get a chance to put one over on Pete Buttigieg, and they won't. And that will get them ratings. That will get them an audience too. MAGA loves to go after Pete Buttigieg, and they never can. So that'd be another way, like Gavin Newsom, which is using the negative reasons to put out a positive message. And that's something that eludes Democrats right there, because there are very few Democrats who will go into the MAGA space to try to have a conversation, whether they get heard or not.
Right.
That's where the audience is, and Gavin Newsom was at least willing to court that audience for a moment. Kamala Harris was willing to court that audience. She went on Fox News with Brett Baier and held her own. And then she also said she would talk to Joe Rogan, and he wouldn't leave his safe space to go talk to her, and that's not her fault.
Right.
That is
and the way
not on her.
That Brett Baier asshole, the way that he treated her. I mean, this is the problem with Democrats,
so
and that's why.
Yeah,
I mean, the absolute disrespect that they show to the Vice President of the United States, it just speaks volumes about who the hell they are.
Right.
And, we're all supposed to kiss Trump's ass. That's their excuse all the time. They're like, well, he's the president, respect the office. I don't respect the office when he's in it. He doesn't respect the office.
He's flinging his loaded diaper all
over it.
Elon
making a disgrace.
Spawn his wife and his boogers on the Resolute
Oh my God!
desk. No.
And when he's like opening the office to Russian spies and just spewing everyone's secrets. You know how much damage this monster has done to this country? I know you know, but I'm just saying, like for generations. We have been completely just denigrated. No one's going to trust us. We have gone against treaties. I mean, talking about Ukraine, there's a treaty that we are violating. We signed a security treaty with Ukraine when they gave away their nuclear weapons. And that was part of the treaty, was that we would come to their defense if they were attacked. And so now, it's like we have no word, no good word. And he's trying to pull us out of everything that matters, NATO, of course.
Right.
It's
he's trying to bulldoze Gaza.
Right. How will we recover from this? Just the name of the American, of America and the world is so, it makes me weep.
It's always Democrat. Look how much hard work Joe Biden's administration did on the global stage to win back everybody's confidence.
Right. But that's what he said. He was like, well, how long, they said, when other nations would say,
hey,
how long is it going to last? And we gave their answer.
It'll last as long as you keep a Democrat in office.
Right. But then we gave them the baboon, We let a baboon loose.
Well, we didn't.
By a hair, I know.
It bothers me. Right. It bothers me when people can't separate a people from a dictator.
Of
because
course.
he doesn't speak for everybody. He speaks for himself.
Not even close.
And so the first time around, don't lump me in with that guy. I voted for the email lady.
Right.
And this time around, I voted for the lady who was laughing.
I know.
Oh, no.
Isn't that sad? So many, like,
what
many
I would say is,
crosses, I mean, forks in the road where we took the wrong turn. Anyway.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And so, like, you know, and so one of the things that I wish we could do here on our show, especially once I have, like, the proper setup and it's extra professional looking.
Yes.
I would invite Republicans on our show. I don't know that they would accept our invitations.
Who, though?
But I would have them on. Well, we could talk about that. That would be a private conversation.
Look at me. I'm not, I'm already close-minded.
With George and Casey and Ron, we can talk about who we would have. Because I think that there are Republicans. Because, again, not all Republicans are MAGA, but all MAGA are Republicans. So, or they're libertarians, which is another way of saying Republican.
It's just
leave me alone
ridiculous.
with your guns and your tread on me flag. Anyway,
libertarianism is just complete fantasy. But go ahead. Yeah.
I'm interested in having a conversation with someone I wouldn't normally get to talk to on a daily basis. Republicans aren't going to respond to me on Twitter. But if we could get somebody...
Nancy Mace?
I don't know. She never would. It won't be a woman, I'll tell you right now.
Oof.
No Republican woman would accept our invitation, but it's possible.
Maybe Adam Kinzinger or
sure,
I don't know.
He's a normal one.
He's
right?
a normal.
Not someone who's a... Right.
You want somebody Abby normal. You want Abby normal?
I want someone who votes with Trump to talk to me. Because I have questions. And again, they don't have to agree with me. I'm not asking them to come on so I can change their minds. My whole thing, and I've said this to Hal repeatedly, I've said it on this show already, I've said it to everybody that I know. If I can understand the why of a person, if I understand that, then I can deal with them. Like, I don't have to like what you say. I don't have to agree with it. This is part of what makes this country amazing. This is what free speech and the First Amendment is for. You can have an opinion that is the polar opposite of mine. You're entitled to it. Because the First Amendment gives that to you. Hate speech, no. Right. Real speech, yes. And so if I can understand why you're doing something, I don't have to like it, but it helps me understand who you are.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I would be interested.
I get it.
Like one of these Republicans.
It's my natural human curiosity. I am just a student of humanity. I want to know what makes somebody tick.
Well, you'll have to be the buffer because I have anger issues.
I would love to. And I do too. And it grows out of most of my anger. Honestly, grows out of a frustration of never getting an answer that I seek.
Right. Well, let me ask you a question.
And it drives people crazy sometimes because I'm like a dog with a bone. It's like once I get on something like. I want to quiet my brain. Nancy Mace, why won't you speak out against rapists in your party? I don't understand it.
She's full of shit.
And if you just tell me why, I'll stop asking.
Right. But here, let me ask you a question. For example, in this video or whatever I was watching of the Republicans being a Republican having a town hall and the constituents, yelling at him saying tax the rich. This guy was going on about how, well, we can't tax the rich because, then that'll stop their productivity and raising taxes on the rich it will stop America's growth, which is bullshit. Demonstrable bullshit. And they still spread this bullshit. It's like trickle down. Here comes the music. We have a minute and a half. So
we know trickle down economics doesn't work. It never has.
Why are they still spreading it? Never stops. It's like talk about a dog on a bone, right?
But the thing is, taxing the rich makes more sense because they have more money to put back into the economy than we do.
Exactly.
And so, if you're a billionaire and they're asking you to pay 5%, half a percentage more in taxes because it'll help your community, that's your obligation as a billionaire.
And
if I'm struggling to pay my rent every month. You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't be taxing me more.
No,
you should
no.
be taxing landowners more.
And that used to be a common knowledge.
Corporations more.
Right,
and
of the
that's
American
where
people.
That comes
Yep.
from.
Yep.
Well,
and the
it's
Americans
you put
knew
a billion
that.
when you put a failed businessman in charge who's a greedy piece of shit. He doesn't want anyone taking his money. Rich people don't want to. Selfish rich people don't want to share.
But it's also about creating reestablishing the aristocracy. That's what the Republicans are up to. Rolling back the American Revolution.
Let that happen.
That's right.
So everybody's assignment for the weekend until we are reunited on Tuesday, aside from do something self-care-ish, like read my book, The Sound of Settling, available now at TaraDublinRocks.com, beloved by Cameron Crowe. I did send him the sequel, by the way. He's reading it right now. So do that, but also tell everybody that you know that we have a special election coming up, especially if you are in Florida and New York. Please demand better of our Democratic officials and hold Republicans accountable. And it's the truth, truth, truth. Sign up for our Substacks. And if you can afford to pay, if you can afford even the lowest subscription tier, please do so, because supporting independent media is the way forward. This is the only way we're going to be able to continue to get the truth out into the world, and we don't need a TV network to do it. We can do it out here in the interwebs. We can make it happen. We just need all of your support. So thank you so much for being here. Keep supporting Political Voices Network, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
All right. See you next week, guys. See you on Tarabuster Friday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, guys. See you soon.
Oh, it's this way. No, it's that way.
Do that.
It's this way. I don't know how to do it.
I don't know. It's opposite.
Anyway, bye.